Students, welcome to your own channel, that is Vedantu NEET English. This is Basavaraj Sir, your biology master teacher. Quickly, let me know in the chat quickly if my voice is audible to all of you and the presentation behind me is visible to each and every one of you. If I am audible and visible, let's commence today's class. That's going to be your human reproduction, right? So I want everyone to do mark your attendance first. Yes, Ravindrani, Neha, Divya, Harshini, Pavitra. Hello, good evening to each and every one of you. So quickly everyone, let's start the class by marking your attendance, that is liking the video, and we'll be doing the chapter that is zoology class today. Yes, today is going to be a zoology class. We'll be doing the chapter your human reproduction. Okay, so today I want, let's say, usually all of you add green hearts in the chat, right? All of you add green hearts in the chat because it's botany. But since today we are doing zoology, let's bring up the hype. Let's increase the intensity of the class by adding red hearts and fire in the chat today. Red hearts and the fire in the chat today. Okay. Now students, I will be doing decoding of your biology today. Decoding of your NCERT. Every single line I'll be explaining you with the help of diagrams. We'll be decoding diagrams and we'll be solving a lot of questions today. We'll be solving lots and lots of questions. Okay. So can we start? Friends, let me know in the chat if we can start. Yes. Can we start, students? Is the Josh up right now? Now, today's class is going to be half the class. It's going to be the part 1 of your entire, it's part 1. It's part 1. In today's class, we'll be doing your male reproductive system, female reproductive system, and we'll also be doing gametogenesis. In gametogenesis, we'll be doing both spermatogenesis as well as your oogenesis, both the topics in today's class. Both the topics, I will make you write every single point. Okay. So before we start, I want everyone to do two things, only two things. All of you keep your NCERT in front of you. All of you keep your NCERT in front of you. Every single time I read a line, I want you to read the line with me. Even if you're watching the session recorded, I want you to read the lines with me. Read the lines with me. And also keep a sticky note or keep a separate notebook where you can draw the diagrams and write the points which I am writing. Let me know if you're ready with all those things. Let me know in the chat if you're ready with both the books. Because today's class is going to be really fun. Really fun class. One thing, students. Okay. Let's start the class now. Let's start the class. Let's not waste any time. Let's start the class. Okay. Now, every organism who is born on this earth, right? Every organism, the entire life starts with birth, right? After some time, the organism will grow. Yes, the organism will grow. The organism will become an adult stage. In humans, I'm talking about humans. This is human, right? Because it is human physiology. So human reproduction, adult, and then eventually the human will die. Now this entire thing is called as what? This entire thing is called as your life cycle, or can I say your entire life cycle is between birth to death. The time period between birth to death is called as life cycle. Now in this entire life cycle, students, in this entire life cycle, there is a period. There's a period where an adult will reproduce. An adult will reproduce. That is what we'll be studying in today's class. What is that reproduction? Now quickly tell me in the chat, what are the two types of reproduction which all of you know about? Broadly speaking, what are the two types of reproduction which you know? Two types of reproduction. All of you know, right? If you broadly classify reproduction, the reproduction, the two main categories are nothing but asexual reproduction, as well as sexual reproduction. Okay. Now under asexual reproduction, do we have a single parent or two parents? Quickly tell me in the chat. In asexual reproduction, usually there is one parent. Okay. Now what about the offspring? The offspring here is genetically identical to the parent. It is genetically identical to the parent. Okay, sir, it is genetically identical to the parent. So can I call it a clone? We have a clone formation here. Clone formation. Okay, done. Now, what about sexual reproduction? I'm going to make sure you know this and you never forget this in your entire life. There's a major difference here. Under sexual reproduction, tell me, is there a chance of uniparental? In sexual reproduction, we always learn. In sexual reproduction, we always learn all the way from your class 8th, 9th, 10th, even 11th standard that under sexual reproduction, there are two parents. But is there a possibility of one parent? Yes, there is a possibility, I'll tell you. There is a possibility of uniparental as well as biparental. Now, what is this uniparental and biparental, students? Under sexual reproduction, there is a case where only a single parent is there. All of you know the answer. All of you know the answer. What is it? All of you know the answer. The uniparental is nothing but your bisexual flower. A simple bisexual flower. A bisexual flower like a hibiscus. It is the same parent, a single parent. But does it undergo sexual reproduction? Does it undergo sexual reproduction? The answer is yes. It undergoes sexual reproduction. Done. So students, in the case of sexual reproduction, there can be uniparental and there can be biparental, which all of you know. All of you know that. The offspring is unique here. The offspring is unique. The offspring is going to be very unique there. Okay, very unique. Now, I want everyone to read the lines of NCERT with me. Any doubt anywhere, you can ask me in the chat. I'm constantly looking at the chat. Even though I'm not looking right now, the eyes are there. Okay. So let's start with the first line of NCERT. It says that, as you are aware, humans are sexually reproducing and viviparous animals. Right. So all of you know the meaning of sexual reproduction right now. That is, when there is formation of gametes and there is fusion of gametes in the case of men. Now, what is this vivipary? Viviparous or vivipary is nothing but when a organism give birth to a young one. In the case of humans, a mother gives birth to a child. A mother does not lay eggs, obviously. A female mother give rise to a young one directly. That's called as your viviparous. The reproductive events in human includes formation of gametes, that is gametogenesis, which includes both spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperms, as well as your oogenesis, which is formation of egg, formation of ovum. That is sperms in the case of males and ovum in the case of female. Transfer of sperms into the female genital tract, that's called as insemination, and fusion of male and female gametes, that is your fertilization, leading to the formation of zygote. Now tell me in the chat, this zygote right here, is it unicellular? Is it going to be unicellular or is it multicellular? Unicellular or multicellular? Quickly in the chat. What is it? Now, what is the next line? This is followed by formation of development of blastocyst. Now, also tell me in the chat, what about blastocyst? Is blastocyst unicellular or is it multicellular? Students, all of you know zygote is the first cell. Zygote is the first cell in the body and it is said to be unicellular in nature. But your blastocyst is multicellular in nature. It's going to be multicellular in nature. Multicellular. Done. Okay. Now, and this attachment of the uterine wall, that is implantation. Okay. Embryonic development, that is gestation, and delivery of the baby called as parturition. All of these events, all of the events which we just spoke, we'll be studying in this chapter. Now, quickly tell me in the chat, is there any doubt in this paragraph? If there is no doubt, I want you to spam red hearts today. Red hearts. After every paragraph, I'm going to ask your clearer doubts. If there is no doubt, no problem, right? Now, there are remarkable differences between reproductive events in male and in the female. For example, sperm formation continues even in the old men. See, first difference right here. The first difference right here, in the case of male, the sperm formation continues throughout their life. But the question is the sperm viable, students? Is the sperm viable? Obviously not. The sperm viability is completely decreased. Even the sperm count is decreased. Even the sperm count is going to decrease. Such case is called as oligospermic. Such case is called as what? Oligospermic. Beautiful. Next, but the formation of ovum ceases in the woman around the age of 50 years, and that is called as menopause. That is called as menopause. Menopause. Right? It's called as menopause. Done. Now let us examine the male and the female reproductive systems in the humans. Done. Next paragraph, done, students. Next paragraph is also done. Done, done, are done. Okay. Now, students, I want you to focus. Any doubt there? Ask me quickly. The previous paragraph, I believe there's nothing there, because the main topic is starting right now. The main topic is starting right now, where I want you to focus 100% now, 100%. Now, students, listen to me very carefully, all of you. Listen to me very carefully. The entire male reproductive system, can be divided into two separate categories. Right? Two separate categories. Let's divide it. One second. Let's divide it. Okay, done. You can divide the entire male reproductive system into two categories. The first one is called as the primary sex organs. Primary sex organs. The other one is called as what? Secondary sex organs. Secondary sex organs. Secondary sex organs. Okay. Now, for a particular structure to be primary sex organs, it has two criteria. That is, every primary sex organ, students, every primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes. And also the primary sex organ should be able to produce hormones. Gametes and hormones. Now, quickly tell me in the chat, which is the primary sex organ in the case of your male reproductive system? In the case of your male reproductive system or the male reproductive system, the primary sex organ is going to be testis. It's going to be testis. Okay, done. Now, what are the gametes here? The gametes here are called as sperms. Okay. Now, what is the hormone? The hormone we are talking about here is testosterone. Testosterone. Now, students, the primary sex organ is always directly involved in gamete production. Direct involvement in gamete production. While your secondary sex organs are indirectly involved. They store and release the gametes. Your secondary sex organs includes your accessory ducts. It includes glands, bulbourethral gland, seminal vesicle gland, Cowper gland, which is also bulbourethral, prostate gland. All of the glands are secondary sex organs. Apart from that, we also have the external genitalia. Clear? So, students, in the case of male reproductive system, we have two types of organs. One is primary sex organ, other one is secondary sex organ. Primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes as well as hormones. Gametes are the sperms, hormone is the testosterone. Primary sex organs are directly involved in gamete production, while your secondary sex organs are indirectly involved. Storage of sperm, transport of the sperm. Transport of sperm is done by whom? Ducts. Then we have glands and external genitalia. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly. Let's see the lines of NCERT now. Let's see the lines of NCERT. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region. It is the pelvic region. Now tell me, pelvic region is also called as your abdominal region. Yes, abdominal region. In the abdominal region of human males, there are two bones. There are two bones called as coxal bones. Between the two coxal bones, we have the male reproductive system involved. We have the coxal bones like this. Ischium, yes, ischium, isthmus, right? So, those are between the two coxal bones, we have the male reproductive system situated, coxal bones. It includes a pair of testes, that is, pair of testes, along with accessory ducts, glands, and external genitalia. Done. Paragraph is done. Any doubt, quickly ask me. Any doubt, quickly ask me in this page. Done. So the location of your male reproductive system is nothing but your pelvic region. That is between two coxal bones. Abdominal region we can call it. Abdominal region. The next concept is going to be very simple. Next concept is even very simple, students. Very simple, zoology. Location of your testis. Where is the testis located? Testis is located in a sac-like structure. Testis is located in a sac-like structure. Sac-like structure. The sac-like structure is called as your scrotum. It's called as scrotum. It's called as scrotum. Okay, sac-like structure called as scrotum. Now why is it in a scrotum? A question might arise. Why is it in a scrotum? Why can't testis be as such? Because, students, listen to me very carefully. The process of formation of sperm is called as spermatogenesis. For the spermatogenesis to take place, the temperature needs to be 2 to 3 degrees less than the body temperature. So the scrotum is located away from the abdominal cavity. Here, that is, the testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity. Outside the abdominal cavity in a sac-like structure called as scrotum. Now why? Because the scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testis. That is, the temperature in the testis. The temperature in the testis should be around 2 to 3 degrees less than body temperature. Less than body temperature. Then only spermatogenesis will take place. If the temperature is not less, spermatogenesis will not happen. Now I'll ask you one more question. Can I ask you all of you a question now? Simple question. For example, a human male is in a Arctic region, is in a Antarctica. Imagine he's in Antarctica. Okay. He's in Antarctica. Can he produce sperms? The question is, obviously, the temperature is so cold there. The temperature is around 0 degrees Celsius or -1 or -10 degrees Celsius temperature, right? Can that human male produce sperms? Yes or no in the chat quickly. Yes or no? Yes or no in the chat quickly. You will be like, yes sir. Yes sir, he can produce sperm. Why? Because we humans are regulators. We humans are regulators. We can regulate the internal body temperature. We are homeostats, and that's why he will be able to produce sperm. Nice. Now what about a human male whose internal body temperature, who has a fever of 105 degree Fahrenheit, right? 105 Fahrenheit. Will he be able to produce sperm? Will he be able to produce sperm? Or will the spermatogenesis will be affected in that case? The answer is yes. In such individuals where the temperature becomes extremely high, the spermatogenesis becomes affected. Clear? Clear all of you? So all of these are simple biology terms we should know. Okay. Now, 2 to 35 degrees lower than the body temperature, that is internal body temperature, necessary for spermatogenesis. In adults, each testis is oval in shape. They will not ask you a NEET examination all this, but let's read it. With a length of about 4 to 5 centimeter and a width of about 2 to 3 centimeter. Okay. Now, the testis is covered by a dense covering. It is covered by a dense covering. Okay, dense covering. That is basically a type of your loose connective tissues. Loose connective tissues, basically. Loose connective tissues. Now, any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Because I'll be teaching you a little bit of anatomy now. Anatomy of testis. Little bit of anatomy. Let's go inside the testis. What is there? What are the components of a testis? Let's look at it now. Components of a testis. Okay. So, inside the testis, students. Inside the testis. Inside each testis, there are around 250 compartments. There are around 250 compartments inside testis. Inside each testis, there are around 250 compartments. Okay. These compartments are called as, anyone in the chat who can tell me? What are these 250 compartments I'm talking about? 250 compartments. Don't see the answer. It's given here. Don't read. Don't see the answer. The 250 compartments are called as testicular lobules. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments called as testicular lobules. Now, students. Now. Inside each compartment now, there are 250 compartments. Inside each compartment, there are 1 to 3 highly coiled structures. Okay, highly coiled structures. That is called as seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubules. Now I'll give you a simple example. Think there is a big mansion. Inside that big mansion, there are around 250 rooms. Inside each room, there are around 1 to 3 windows. There is a testis. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments. The 250 compartments are called as testicular lobules. Inside each testicular lobule, 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubules are present. Students. Okay. Now let's read what is given in NCERT. It says that each testis has around 250 compartments. Now tell me, if each testis has 250 compartments, how many will be there when we combine both the testes? How many will be there? Tell me in the chat quickly. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments called as testicular lobules. Okay. Now, each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubule. Inside each lobe, there are seminiferous tubule inside. That is 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubule. Done. Now, each seminiferous tubule. Now, next point is very important. Listen to me very carefully, all of you. Listen to me very carefully. Yes, if this is the testis, this is the testis. Inside the testis, students, inside the testis, there are 2 types of cells. Okay, let's not call it testis, let's call it okay, this is your seminiferous tubule. Okay, inside each seminiferous tubule, inside each seminiferous tubule there are two types of cells. There are two types of cells. First we have certain elongated cells. First we have certain elongated cells called as Sertoli cells. They're called as what? Your Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. The other cells which we have here, you see, the other cell is called as your male germ cells. Other one is called as male germ cell. This male germ cell is also called as spermatogonia. Spermatogonia. Okay. Now, what is the function? That is more important. What is the function? Listen to me very carefully. Sertoli cells are also called as your nurse cells. They're also called as what? Nurse cells. Now, this Sertoli cells or the nurse cells, they produce something called as ABP. That is androgen binding protein. Androgen binding protein. This ABP, what is the main function of ABP? This ABP will concentrate. It will concentrate all the testosterone. It will concentrate all the testosterone. When it concentrates all the testosterone, it will aid in what? It will aid in spermiogenesis. So inside the seminiferous tubule there are two types of cells. The first cell is called as Sertoli cell, also called as nurse cell. What is the main function of that? It produces something called as ABP, androgen binding protein. The androgen binding protein will concentrate all the testosterone, and that will help in spermiogenesis. Now, what is spermiogenesis? It is not spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is different. This is spermiogenesis. The main function of spermiogenesis is it is a process in which spermatids are converted to spermatozoa. That we will learn later on. Okay. Your Sertoli cell also produces inhibin. For the that I'll teach you later on. Inhibin. Okay. Now, what is the function of male germ cell? It doesn't have any function. Main function. The male germ cell will eventually undergo spermatogenesis. That is basically meiosis to produce the sperm. Haploid, this is diploid in nature. So your male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, undergoes spermatogenesis to produce the sperm. Okay. Sertoli cell, androgen binding protein, concentrate all the testosterone, spermiogenesis also produces inhibin. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly. Students. Now, this is everything inside. The seminiferous tubule. It is everything inside the seminiferous tubule. Okay. Now, what about the outside? This outer area. Outside of seminiferous tubule. Is called as interstitial space. Its outside area is called as what? Interstitial space. In this interstitial space, there is something called as interstitial cells. The other name of this interstitial cell is nothing but Leydig cells. They are also called as what? Leydig cells. Now, what is the function of Leydig cells? Leydig cells, students. The main function of Leydig cells is nothing but production of. The main function of Leydig cells is production of testosterone. Production of testosterone. Production of testosterone. Okay. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me in the chat. All of you are making notes, right? Is everyone making notes? This is the ultimate notes you will get, and you don't have to worry about anything. Okay. So what is the function here? See. Now you might be asking, sir, NCERT says androgen. Students, remember, testosterone is type of androgen only. Testosterone is a type of androgen only. Okay, it's a type of androgen. Okay. Now, this is your seminiferous tubule. We have the two type of cells inside, that is male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, which is diploid, which undergoes spermatogenesis to produce the sperm, meiosis. We have Sertoli cells, which produces ABP and inhibin. The main function is spermiogenesis. Main function is spermiogenesis. Okay. Okay. Now let's read the NCERT lines. Now let's read the NCERT lines. If we covered every single point here. Okay. Let's see. All of you, I want everyone to read with me now. Read with me. Okay. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells. So inside the seminiferous tubule, there are two types of cells. The first one is called as the male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, and Sertoli cell. Sertoli cell. The male germ cell undergoes meiosis, division, finally leading to the sperm formation. Did we do that? Yes. Sperm formation, eventually. Sperm formation. Okay. Sperm formation. While Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cell. It provides nutrition to the germ cell, that is in the form of spermiogenesis. That is in the form of spermiogenesis. Nutrition provides. Also, that's why it's called as nurse cell. Nurse cell. Okay. The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called as interstitial space, contains small blood vessels and interstitial cells. Interstitial cells, also called as your Leydig cells. Leydig cells synthesize and secrete testicular hormone called as your androgen. That is a form of testosterone. Testosterone, androgen, testosterone. And other immunologically competent cells are also produced. What is this now? So we have to add few points here. That is, outside we have other blood vessels here. Blood vessels. And it is also producing certain immunological competent cells. Those are nothing but your WBCs, white blood cells. Okay. Other immunological cells are also present. It's not produced, it is present here, that's all. It is present here. WBC is also present. Done. Any doubt in this paragraph? Tell me in the chat quickly right now. Any doubt? Students, we are decoding NCERT. Trust me, after learning with the help of diagram and notes, don't you think the NCERT is super easy? Don't you think the NCERT is so easy right now? Yes. So I want everyone to quickly smash that like button if you are new to the channel, and if you're joined right now, mark your attendance quickly, all of you, and we'll go to the next topic now. Now students, let me decode the diagram for you now. Can we decode the diagram now? Can we completely decode the diagram of male reproductive system now? Completely decode the diagram. Like every single point we'll cover, that you will be able to solve every single question in the world with respect to this. Okay. It should be from NCERT. Out of NCERT, many things are there. Okay. Okay. Now students, let's understand. This is your diagram view of male reproductive system. Okay. Now let's focus on, can you see this? Testicular lobule. Testicular lobule is present inside the testis. Right? How many are there? There are around 250 compartments. Okay. 250 compartments. Done. Now, the sperm which is produced inside the testis. Now, if I ask you a question, where is sperm produced? If I ask you where exactly inside the testis sperm is produced, you should be able to tell. You should be able to tell, sir, sperm is produced inside the seminiferous tubule. I'll write it down. Otherwise, you will forget. All of you will tell me, sir, you never told me, sir. The site of sperm production. Site of sperm production. The site for sperm production here. That is seminiferous tubule. That is going to be your seminiferous tubule, because here, see here, sperms are being produced here. Male germ cell is undergoing. Okay. Don't tell me later on I did not tell you. Okay. So the sperms are being produced inside the seminiferous tubule. Inside seminiferous tubule. Right. Now, once the sperm is produced, it is moving out now. Yes. The sperm is produced inside the testis. It is trying to move out into a duct. The first duct which it enters, the sperm enters, is your retate testis. Retate testis. From retate testis, it goes to vasa efferentia. Students, this flow is very important. This flow right now is very important because this year, NEET 2024, there was a question based on this. NEET 2024. Okay. Now, from vasa efferentia, it goes to epididymis. From epididymis to vas deferens. Vas deferens. Then it joins here. Okay. Now, you need to understand a few points here. That is, epididymis right here. Epididymis is actually the longest. Epididymis is the longest duct. Don't believe me? Look at the diagram. Don't you think so? Epididymis is completely coiled. It is going to be highly coiled. It's very highly coiled. So if you remove the coiling, it is going to be the longest duct. It is going to be the longest duct. Okay. And students, remember, epididymis is the location in which the sperms get the motility and also the sperm matures. The maturing of the sperm is complete maturation is happening in the epididymis. Remember that point. Okay. Now from epididymis, from your epididymis, vas deferens. Now from vas deferens, students, from vas deferens, the duct is looping over the urinary bladder or ureters, looping over the urinary bladder, and it is joining right here. Can you see? Joining right here. Now this is a special location. Let me tell you why. Okay. Now, at this point right here, we call it ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct. Okay. Now, why do you call it ejaculatory duct? Because at this point right here, there are two ducts are joining. The two ducts are joining here. The first duct is going to be your vas deferens. It's going to be your vas deferens. The other duct which is joining here is a duct from your seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle. Okay. So they have not mentioned here, diagram they have not given you, but you should remember this point right here in which vas deferens is coming from top and one duct is coming from seminal vesicle. They are joining together. The point of attachment, or the point where the two ducts meet, is called as your ejaculatory duct. It is called as what? Ejaculatory duct. Okay. Clear to me? Clear, everyone? Yes. Now from here, the entire passage is going to be straight. But there are certain glands here. For example, the first gland which you need to talk about here is going to be seminal vesicle gland. Now students, remember this point, first point here. Seminal vesicle is paired. Bulbourethral gland, which is also called as Cowper gland, is also paired. But your prostate gland is going to be completely unpaired. It is single. It is unpaired. Okay, it is going to be unpaired. Done. Unpaired. Okay. Now students, what are the properties? Like, why are the glands present there? Because your seminal vesicle gland, students, your seminal vesicle gland will produce a lot of fructose. it will produce certain alkaline fluid. The secretions of your prostate, the secretions of the prostate, not prostate, the secretion of your seminal vesicle almost make up 70 to 80% of your semen. 70 to 80% of the semen, that is secretions of seminal vesicle, and it is a much more alkaline in nature, because as soon as the sperm comes in contact with the vaginal tract, which is much more acidic in nature, the sperm should not die, right? To make sure the lifespan of the sperm is more, the entire semen is going to be alkaline in nature, and the alkalinity is coming from the secretion of seminal vesicle and prostate. Seminal vesicle and prostate. Is that point clear to all of you? Tell me yes or no in the chat. The secretions. And it also produces certain calcium ions, a lot of enzymes, prostaglandins. All that is not given in your NCERT, so do not worry about that. The only thing you should know that is the fructose is coming from seminal vesicle. Lot of enzymes are coming there. Prostaglandins are coming there. That's it. Clear? Clear, everyone? The fructose, calcium ions, everything is coming from secretion of seminal vesicle as well as prostate gland, which is unpaired. Now, bulbourethral gland, which is also called as Cowper gland, apart from enzymes and apart from different prostaglandins, it also produces mucus. This mucus is extremely important during intercourse or coitus. Extremely important because it provides lubrication to the penis. Okay. Now students, now. Let's go to the next. That is the glands are done. Glands are done. 3 glands. First, second is going to be your prostate. Third one is going to be bulbourethral gland. 3 different glands. Then we have something called as urethra. Now urethra is called as urogenital tract. Why? Because urethra right here is a common passage. It is a common passage for the release of the semen as well as the release of urine. It is a common passage for semen and urine. It's also called as urogenital tract. The entire thing. Urogenital tract. Okay. Then, do you see certain erectile tissues here? Yes. There are certain erectile tissues here. Okay. Corposa, spongiosum. All that is there, not in your NCERT, so I will not tell you all that. Just remember there are erectile tissues are present here. Which facilitates insemination. Okay. Now, the last part here. The swollen end of the penis is called as your glans penis. It's called as glans penis, and the urethral opening. The urethral opening is called as urethral meatus. The urethral opening is called as urethral meatus, glans penis. The entire penis is covered by a loose folded skin called as foreskin. Done. Students, do you realize, did we actually decode the entire diagram? Students? If they ask you any question from this diagram, you should be able to tell. And the only question they usually ask is the entire flow chart here, the entire flow. That is, read a test. First is seminiferous tubule, read a testis, vas afferentia, epididymis, vas deferens. Then we have the ejaculatory duct. Then we have 3 glands, seminal vesicle paired, prostate unpaired, bulbourethra paired. Secretions. They produce secretions. Secretions includes fructose, calcium ions, enzymes, prostaglandins, even citric acid. Yes, your prostate gland. The secretions of prostate gland will have citric acid also. Okay. And also remember, all the secretions are going to be alkaline in nature to make sure the sperm lifespan is more. Okay. Done. Then we have urethra, which is called as urogenital tract, a common passage for urine and semen release. The swollen end of the penis is called as glans penis. The urethral opening is called as urethral meatus. Entire thing is covered by a loose skin, is called as foreskin. Do you realize? We decoded the diagram now. Now it's time to read the NCERT. Yes. Let's read. What is given here? The male accessory ducts include retestis, vas afferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. The seminiferous tubule of testis open into the vas efferentia through retestis. So technically, which is coming first? The first one is going to be retestis, then it is going to be vas efferentia, because seminiferous tubule is opening into vas efferentia through retestis. So retestis is going to come first. Okay, the vas efferentia leaves the testis and open into epididymis, the third one, located along the posterior side of the testis. The epididymis leads to vas deferens that ascends to the abdomen and loops over the urinary bladder. We discussed that, loops over the urinary bladder, right? It receives a duct from your seminal vesicle and opens into urethra called as ejaculatory duct. Told you, one duct is going to be from your seminal vesicle, the other duct is coming from where? The other duct is vas deferens plus seminal vesicle duct. Together they are called as ejaculatory duct here. Together they are called as ejaculatory duct. These ducts store and transport, see, function of your secondary sex organs, store and transport the sperm from testis to the outside through urethra, that is common tract, urogenital tract, right? The urethra originates from the urinary bladder and extends through the penis to the external opening called as urethral meatus. Students, tell me any doubt in this paragraph right now. I believe every single line should be clear to you with the help of decoding with the diagram, right? Yes? Clear, everyone? Hello. Is this point clear to you? If it is clear, write it in the chat, because I would want to know the indication if everything is clear, right? This right here is the section of seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule on the inside, can you see? On the inside is lined by two type of cells. One is called as spermatogonia, also called as male germ cell. What I'm writing here, male germ cell. Spermatogonia, male germ cell. Then spermatozoa, which is nothing but sperm. Then Sertoli cells, that is the nurse cells. Then interstitial cells, that is Leydig cells. Done. Yes? Easy, right? So easy this is. That's so easy. Now, the penis is the male external genitalia, which we discussed already. It is made up of special tissues that help in erection of the penis, that is the erectile tissues, to facilitate insemination. The enlarged end of the penis is called as glans penis, covered by loose skin called as foreskin, also called as prepuce. The male accessory glands includes seminal vesicle, prostate, see, paired. There's nothing given, A, so not paired, and paired bulbourethral gland. Secretions of the glands constitute the seminal plasma. So what is seminal plasma? Seminal plasma is nothing but secretions of seminal vesicle plus prostate plus bulbourethral gland. The secretions of your all the three glands, they make up the seminal plasma. Seminal plasma. Now later on you'll understand. Later on, when you study semen, you'll understand seminal plasma plus the sperm, that makes up the semen. Done. That makes up the semen. Done. See, so such easy things they are given, such easily they are given. See here, which is rich in fructose. I told you, fructose is coming from your seminal vesicle. Calcium, and certain enzymes. The secretions of bulbourethral gland also help in lubrication of penis because it produces mucus. Bulbourethral gland produces mucus. Mucus. Done. Any doubt in this paragraph? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt in this paragraph? Now, if there is no paragraph, if there's no doubt, can we solve some questions now? So please write glands and accept ducts and external genitalia, students. See, there are 3 glands. There are 3 glands here. That's only 3 glands. First gland is going to be your seminal vesicle, first gland, prostate, second gland, bulbourethral, 3 gland. Only 3 glands. Only 3 glands. Ducts we learnt here. Ducts we learnt here. Ducts 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ducts, 3 glands, 1 external genitalia. That's venous. That's all. Right? Easy peasy, biryani tasty. Exactly. Look at the question now. Look at the question. The shared terminal duct of reproductive and urinary system in the human male is, which is the shared duct? Quickly in the chat, I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, and finally 1. That is going to be urethra. What is the other name of urethra, students? What is the other name of urethra? It is also called as urogenital tract, right? Next question. The testes in humans are situated outside the abdominal cavity inside a pouch called a scrotum. The purpose served is for, what is the purpose? Why the testis is situated outside the abdominal cavity in a pouch-like structure called a scrotum? Why? What could be the reason, students? What could be the reason? 7 crore ka question. Escaping any possible compression by the visceral organs, providing more space for growth of epididymis, provides a secondary sexual feature for exhibiting the male sex, maintaining the scrotal temperature lower than the internal body temperature so that spermatogenesis can take place. So obviously option number 4. Option number 4. At puberty, the human male develops secondary sexual characteristics. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. At puberty, there is a decrease in secretion of testosterone in male. It's a AR question. Read the AR and read the AR is correct. Read the assertion properly. Read the assertion properly. Option number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. What is the answer? What is the answer, Varun? What is the answer, Shriya, Sumukha, Sominash, Kavya, Meghana, Ravindrani? I see Rudranath. All of these are regular students. So nice to see regular students, no? Naina. Obviously, students, obviously, if the assertion is true, but the reason is false. Why the reason is false, students? Why the reason is false? Because testosterone will not decrease, testosterone will increase, not decrease. Good. Next question. How many seminiferous tubules will be there per testicular lobule? Per testicular lobule, how many seminiferous tubule? How many seminiferous tubule? Now students, all of these questions are NEET PYQs. They are NEET PYQ questions. NEET PYQ questions. I am not making them up. And students, if you want the notes for this class, or if you have any doubt you want to ask after the class, where do you find it? Where do you ask? On the Telegram channel. That is Basavaraj Sir Biology. On this Telegram channel, all the notes, updates, everything will be available. Okay? Everything will be available. Easy. 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Yes. 1 to 3. Now, Leydig cells are present in seminiferous tubule. Are they present inside the seminiferous tubules, outside the seminiferous tubules, scrotal wall, with the male germ cell? With the male germ cell. What is the answer? Take 10 seconds and answer. Take 10 seconds. Very easy. Very easy question. Obviously, Leydig cells are present in also called as interstitial cells. They are also called as interstitial cells. Leydig cells are called as interstitial cells. They are present outside the seminiferous tubule. They are present outside the seminiferous tubule. Inside the seminiferous tubule, you only have the nurse cells, Sertoli cells, as well as male germ cell, Outside we have the Leydig cells. Done. Next question. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by. Inside the seminiferous tubule, what do we have? I just now told the answer. Spermatogonia, primary spermatocytes, Sertoli cells, both 1 and 3. And remember students, spermatogonia is also called as what? Male germ cell. Male germ cell. Sir, when physics class for class 11th, I have to ask Shreyas sir for that. I have to ask Shreyas sir for it. I do not know. I have to ask Shreyas sir. I'll ask Shreyas sir and I'll tell you. What's there? Okay. So obviously it's going to be both. Okay, the pen dropped. Obviously it's going to be both 1 and 3, right? 1 and 3. Now, what causes the onset of puberty in males? I have not taught you this concept right now. I will teach you this concept and then I'll make you solve this. Okay. All of you tell me your marks if you remember. How many marks did you get till now? How many marks did you get till now if you remember? I'll teach you this concept first. Listen to me very carefully. Students. First, we have the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Okay. Hypothalamus will stimulate GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. It will in turn stimulate anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary will stimulate FSH and LH. FSH, F for S. So, 1 second, friends. Let me change the color so it'll be easy for S for Sertoli cells. It will stimulate the secretion of Sertoli cells. L for Leydig cells. Stimulates Leydig cells. Leydig cells will produce what? Leydig cells will produce your androgen, that is testosterone. That is the testosterone. Now, what does Sertoli cells will do? Sertoli cells will produce androgen binding protein, which will concentrate all the testosterone, and its main function is in spermatogenesis. Main function is in spermatogenesis. Also provides the nutrition. Done. Now, tell me the answer now. What causes the onset of puberty in males? How is the entire process starting from? Where is it starting from? Increase in secretion of testosterone by the testes, decrease in the secretion of testosterone by testes, increase in secretion of GnRH by hypothalamus, decrease in secretion of GnRH by hypothalamus. What is the answer now? Tell me. Yes, that is good. It's good to attend regular classes. What is the answer now? Obviously, option number 3. Now, students, some of you are asking what is FSH? FSH is nothing but follicular stimulating hormone. How do you remember? FSH works on works on Sertoli cells. What is LH? Luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone works on Leydig cells. Easy. Now all of you know the answer, right? Now students, with that, male reproductive system is done and dusted. I don't think so any doubt should be there. We have dealt in very detail. I'm going very detailed so that all of you can, I'm going slow and detailed because I want to know if all of you are on the same page, you're understanding every line of NCERT, you're enjoying the process and everything, right? Okay. Now students, let me know in the chat if we can start with female reproductive system, it's very easy again. It's very easy. Write the notes with me, understand the lines of NCERT. No one can stop you from scoring out of out in biology. No one can score. Right? Now, let's start with female reproductive system now. Female reproductive system. Now, in the case of female reproductive system, again we have a simple bifurcation. That is primary sex organs, primary sex organ, again secondary sex organ, The primary sex organ should be able to do what? The primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes. The primary sex organ should be able to produce hormones. Okay. Now, the primary sex organ here is ovaries. The gamete here is the egg or ooted or ovum, call it anything. The hormone here is progesterone as well as estrogen. The secondary sex organs includes oviduct, uterus, cervix, vagina, right? As well as the external genitalia. That is going to be the entire primary sex organs and secondary sex organs, right? Primary sex organs and secondary sex organs. Easy, very easy. Let's read the lines of NCERT, students. Students, if you are new to the channel, quickly smash that like button, share the video to your friends, and also subscribe to the channel, because it is very crucial for us to, make sure that every single student gets the quality education they deserve, right? Now, the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries. So how many ovaries are there? There's a pair of ovaries. Along with a pair of oviduct. Oviduct is present in two. What two are there? Uterus, single. Cervix and vagina, single. Okay. And the external genitalia, that's called as vulva. Located in the pelvic region, that is between the pelvic girdles, right? These parts of the system, along with the pair of mammary glands, are integrated structurally and functionally to support the process of ovulation, that is release of egg, fertilization, pregnancy, birth and child care. That is going to be the entire thing. Now, ovaries are the primary female sex organ. See, did we write that? Yes, we wrote that. That produces the female gamete, that the ovum. This and several steroidal hormones, ovarian hormones, that is progesterone as well as estrogen. Now tell me in the chat. I'll check your zoology now. I'll check your zoology knowledge and tell you to Gopika ma'am. Okay. Steroidal hormones, are they lipid soluble or are they water soluble? Tell me in the chat. Are they lipid soluble or are they water soluble? Now, the ovaries are located on each side of the lower abdomen. Each ovary is about 2, they'll not ask you this, 2 to 4 centimeter and connected, this is very important, and connected to the pelvic wall and uterus by ligaments. So, ovaries are connected to the uterus with the help of ligaments. Each ovary is covered by a thin, okay, let's draw the structure of ovary. Let's draw the structure of ovary now. Okay, we have the structure of ovary here. The outer layer, students, the outer layer of the ovary is called as epithelium. Mentioned somewhere, right? It is given somewhere, like there. Epithelium. Okay. Outer layer is called as epithelium. The inner part is called as stroma. Inner part is called as inner part. ovarian stroma. Ovarian stroma. But students, this stroma is divided into two parts. The stroma is divided into two parts. Can you see this outer part here? Outer part. The outer part of the stroma is called as outer cortex. Outer cortex. The outer cortex's main function is producing, one second, ovarian follicles. Ovarian follicles. That is primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle. All that is produced in the cortex, outer cortex. The inner part is called as inner medulla. Here, inner part. Inner part is called as inner medulla. It mainly has your blood vessels, nerve connective tissues, and everything. Okay, lymphatic vessels, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, as well as your nerves. This is the structure of ovary. Simple structure they have given you. Simple structure they have given you. Okay. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. Ovarian stroma on the inside, outside is epithelium. The stroma is divided into two zones. The peripheral cortex, also called as outer cortex, peripheral cortex, and the inner medulla. Inside is inner medulla. Done. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Yes, it is lipid soluble. Nice. Lipid soluble. All of you remember. All of you are nice zoology, you know. Okay. Any doubt here? Done. Done. Now students, this is the structure of your, one of the structures of the female reproductive system. But right now I will teach the entire vagina, cervix and all with the help of other diagram. But let's focus on this part here. This part right here. The external genitalia, students, external genitalia of the female reproductive system is called as vulva. And all of these are parts of vulva. All of these are parts of vulva here. That is clitoris, which is the tiny finger-like structure which has a lot of nerve endings. Labia minora, that is the fleshy foldings inside the labia majora. We have labia majora inside labia minora. Then vaginal orifice, which is the vaginal opening. Vaginal opening is called as vaginal orifice. Okay, vaginal orifice. Apart from that, it is also called as mons pubis, which is not mentioned here. Mons pubis is basically cushion of fatty tissue which has the skin and pubic hair. Okay. Now, this is the main structure. This is the main structure. Now, students, just how we decoded the male reproductive structure, can we also decode this structure right now? Can we decode the entire structure now? Tell me yes or no in the chat. Can we completely decode this structure now? Can we start? Let's completely decode this structure right now. Now, let's start with the ovaries. Let's start with the ovaries. Ovaries internal structure, you know, we just now learned internal structure of ovary. The ovaries are attached to the uterus. The attachment, can you see this part here? Attached to the uterus with the help of ligaments. With the help of ligaments. Okay, ligaments are there. Like mesovarium ligaments and all. Mesovarium ligaments, but not in a syllabus. Just learn ligaments word, that's all. Here, ligaments. Now, this ovary right here. The ovary right here will produce one egg. Every month, alternatingly, the ovary will produce the egg, also called as secondary oocyte. Okay, the egg is there. Egg is here. The egg is picked up by a finger-like structure. The finger-like structure is called as fimbriae. The finger-like structure is called as fimbriae. The fimbriae will pick up the egg, and the egg will enter into the fallopian tube with the help of a small hole here. Small opening called as ostia. The small opening called as ostia through which the egg is entering. Now the egg will enter into a funnel-shaped structure. A funnel-shaped structure called as infundibulum. Infundibulum is the funnel-shaped structure. Then we have a much more wider area called as ampulla, which is a much more wider area called as ampulla. And it is the same location in which fertilization takes place. So if someone asks you where does the fertilization takes place in the case of female reproductive system, it is supposed to be ampulla, where the fertilization takes place. Before it was ampullary isthmus junction, it has been changed into ampulla now. Ampulla is a much more wider part. Then we have much more narrow part called as isthmus. Much more narrow part called as isthmus region. Okay. The secondary oocyte is traveling now. The secondary oocyte, if it undergoes fertilization, then it will get divided. Zygote formation will happen. Zygote will divide. Blastocyst will happen. The implantation of blastocyst will happen on the uterus, walls of the uterus. This is where the implantation will happen. And that's called as uterus. Uterus is also called as womb. It's also called as womb and hysteria. Womb. Also called as womb here. Okay? Also called as womb. Then we have uterine cavity here. Now, if you look at the layers, of the uterus, it is mainly divided into three parts. First, we have the perimetrium, which is the outermost layer, outermost very thin layer called as perimetrium. Then we have middle layer called as myometrium. Which is made up of thick, smooth muscle cells. Okay, made up of smooth muscle cells. Okay, thick layer. And it is the same layer which undergoes contraction during childbirth. Contraction during childbirth. That is going to be your myometrium. The innermost layer is called as endometrium. The endometrium is glandular. It is going to be glandular in nature. And it is the same endometrium which undergoes cyclic changes every month. Endometrium undergoes cyclic changes every month. Cyclic changes every month. That is going to be your different layers of uterus. Now, uterus opens into vagina. Words are very important. Uterus opens into vagina through cervix. And the cervix has a canal called as cervical canal. The canal of cervix is called as cervical canal. Now, cervix plus vagina. Let me write somewhere here separately. That is cervical canal plus vagina plus the vagina, they make up the birth canal. Through which the baby is born. Birth canal through which the baby is born. Yes, done. That is going to be decoding. That is your decoding. Done. Now, one more question arises. The egg which is entering here, how is the egg moving? How is the egg able to move? Does it have legs? Tell me. Does it have legs now? The egg has legs to run and go? No. Doesn't have legs. How does it move then? It moves because of the ciliated columnar epithelial cells here. Here, inside the fallopian tube, there are columnar epithelial cells which facilitates ciliated movement inside the oviduct. Oviduct is also called as fallopian tube. Oviduct or fallopian tube. And it has three parts: infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Now, not amoeboid movement, it is ciliated movement. Okay, like how it's seen in paramecia, protozoans, paramecia type. Okay. Let's read the NCERT line. Let's see if you have covered every single line of NCERT. The oviduct or fallopian tube, uterus and vagina constitute the female aqueducts. Each fallopian tube is around 10 to, they'll not ask you this, 20 centimeter long and extends from the periphery to the each periphery of each ovary to the uterus. The part closer to the ovary is called as funnel-shaped infundibulum. Funnel-shaped, we wrote it. Funnel-shaped infundibulum. The edge of the infundibulum possesses finger-like projections called as fimbriae. Finger-like structure called as fimbriae. Okay, which help in collection of ovum after ovulation. Okay, the infundibulum leads to the wider area called as ampulla. Wider area called as ampulla. Wider area called as ampulla. Okay. The last part of the oviduct is isthmus, has narrow lumen and joins to the uterus. Much more narrow lumen joins the uterus. That is going to be isthmus, narrow region which joins the uterus. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly, students. Students, you are studying every single line of NCERT. We are not even missing a single line. Not even missing a single line. Every single line of NCERT we are decoding, understanding, making sure that we will be able to solve any question which comes from here. Any question. Let it be any question. Right? See here. The uterus is single and it is also called as womb. We discussed that. Done. The shape of the uterus is inverted pair. That is very important. See here. The shape of the uterus is like inverted pair. Right here. This side here. Inverted pear shape. You see? It is like an inverted pear. Inverted pear. The pear looks like this, right? Somewhere. Pear looks like this, right? Something, right? Inverted pear. Inverted pear shape. It's a fruit. Okay. Now, it is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic walls. The uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix is called as cervical canal. We discussed that, which along with vagina forms the birth canal. Cervical canal plus vagina forms the birth canal. Birth canal, right? The walls of the uterus has three layers, three-layer tissue. The external outer thin layer is called as perimetrium. Middle layer made up of smooth muscle called as myometrium. The inner glandular layer is called as endometrium. Discussed. Everything we discussed. Everything we discussed. Okay. Yes, removal of uterus is called a hysterectomy. Okay. That lies in the uterine cavity. The endometrium undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle, while myometrium exhibits strong contraction during the childbirth. Birth of a child. Right? Strong contraction during childbirth, cyclic changes, glandular, thick, smooth muscles, thin external layer. Funnel shaped uterine duct, every single point, students, every single point we have been covering. The last part here. The female external genitalia includes mons pubis, labia majora and labia minora, hymen, clitoris. The mons pubis is a cushion, I told you. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissue covered by skin and pubic hair. The labia majora are the fleshy folded tissue which extends down, which is extending down from the mons pubis and surrounding the vaginal opening. So your labia majora is completely covering the vaginal opening. Inside labia majora there is labia minora inside. Labia minora, right? Labia minora are paired folds of tissue under the labia majora. See, under labia majora. The opening of vagina is often covered by partially by a membrane called as hymen. The clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of two labia minora. So at the upper junction of labia minora, not majora, at the upper junction of labia minora, clitoris is there. And friends, let me tell you. Similarly, how penis has erectile tissues, clitoris also has erectile tissues. Clitoris also has erectile tissues. That is very important point to be noted. Okay. Now let me tell you two things here. Two main things. The first point here is, which you should remember is, tell me in the chat, what was that common passage in the case of male reproductive system which is called as urogenital tract, which is a common passage for release of sperm as well as urine? What is it called? What is it called as? Tell me in the chat quickly. Now what is also over here? The common passage is called as urethra. Common passage called as urethra. There was a common passage there. But, in the case of female reproductive system, there is no common passage. That's right. There are actually there are two holes here, two openings here. The first opening is called as vaginal opening here. Vaginal opening, the first opening called as vaginal opening, and the second opening is called as urethral opening, through which urine is passed through. Are you understanding? In the case of female reproductive tract, there are two different openings for one for release of urine, one for release of egg. That is during menstrual cycle, which opens, or the childbirth, you can say. Okay, that is the first main point here. Different passage. The second main point here is going to be a thin membrane layer called as hymen, and there are a lot of myths regarding hymen, that the sexual experience of a person, of a female, can be determined by presence or absence of hymen. That is completely false. Because a lot of females who has never experienced sexual experience, still there is a chance that hymen layer might be broken because of many activities. Or there is also a case, even though the female has experienced the sexual experience, the hymen layer still might be persistent. Yes, it might be persistent in many cases also. So it is not an indication of sexual experience, that hymen layer, right? However, it can also be broken for a sudden fall, joint, insertion of vaginal tampons, active participation in some sports like horseback riding, cycling, etc. Some women, the hymen persists even after the coitus. See, even after the coitus, it is going to be there, right? In fact, the presence or absence of hymen is not an indicator of your virginity or sexual experience. Clear? Done. Students, with that, we are almost coming towards the end of the reproductive structures. The other reproductive structures in the case of female is going to be the mammary glands. I'll tell you the two main points which you need to focus here. Apart from that, they will never ask you any question. Only two main points here. The first thing you need to remember here is something called as lactiferous ducts, through which the where is it? Alveoli is not given here. Alveoli. Okay, alveoli is not given, but this mammary lobes. Just remember mammary lobes. I'll tell you why. Mammary lobes. Let's read the NCERT. It's very easy to understand. There's nothing complicated here. The functional mammary gland is a characteristic of all female mammals without any exception. Every single mammal, female mammal will have functional mammary glands, including platypus. Even though platypus has so many features with respect to your reptiles and everything, it is still placed under mammals because of functional mammary glands. Right? Our paired structure called as breast, that contains glandular tissues and variable amount of fat. The glandular tissues of each breast is divided into around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So inside each mammary gland there is around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. That you should remember. Next point you should remember is something called as alveoli. The containing clusters of cells called as alveoli. So inside the mammary lobes there is something called as alveoli. And the alveoli has two main functions. The first main function is secretion of milk, and the second main function is storage of milk in the lumen. I'll repeat again. Inside the mammary lobe there is something called as alveoli, and the alveoli has two main functions. The first function is what, students? The first function is secretion of milk. Second function is storage of milk in the lumen. See, the cells of the alveoli secrete milk which is stored in the cavity lumen of the alveoli. Now students, the alveoli open. So last few lines I'm going to make a flow chart. Learn this flow chart. That's the only thing they'll ask you. So alveoli, from alveoli the milk is sent to the mammary tubules. From mammary tubules, the milk is transferred to mammary duct. Where is it? Mammary tubules. of each lobe to form mammary duct. Mammary duct. From mammary duct to ampulla, mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla, right? Mammary ampulla. From mammary ampulla, the milk is sent next to the lactiferous duct. To the lactiferous duct. Now finally, from lactiferous duct, the milk is sent to the nipples. Students, just learn this flow chart and you're done with mammary glands. There's nothing extra here. There's nothing extra here. Learn this. Learn this entire flow chart. Learn the entire flow chart and you're sorted. Learn this entire flow chart and you're sorted. Okay? That is alveoli, mammary tubules, mammary duct, mammary ampulla, lactiferous duct and nipples. That is the entire flow chart of the transfer of milk. Done? Students, with that, the first two topics for today are done. The first two topics for today are done and dusted. And I believe there should be no doubt till now, right? Everything has been super easy, super smooth. Tell me yes or no in the chat. Everything has been a super easy, super smooth journey till now. Tell me. It's been super smooth and super smooth journey, right? Right? Yes. Are you enjoying the session? Tell me in the chat. Are you able to understand? Are you making notes? Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Yes. Are you making your notes? Or are you just listening to my voice, looking at my face? Huh? You're making notes, right, students? Notes are going to be important. See, students, all of these notes will be available. All of these notes will be available on our Telegram channel. That is, all the notes will be available on Telegram channel. And if you have any doubts, you can always contact me also here. If you have any doubt, you can also contact me here. Now, we are going towards the end of today's class now. End of today's class. But it's a long journey again. It's a long journey. Now, I want you to, all of you to drink some water. I want everyone to drink some water. I will also drink some water. In exactly 1 minute, we'll be back. And after that 1 minute, students, after the 1 minute, I want you to look out. See, you have been studying from past 1.5 hours. I want you to look away from the screen just for 1 minute. Just look away from the screen and close your eyes and rub your eyes now. Close your eyes, rub your eyes like this. Gently rub your eyes. Gently, gently. Relax your eyes. Okay. Drink some water. And after that, I want your ultimate focus. Will I get that? Tell me. Will I get that? Okay. So what is your, for the next 1 minute, just 1 minute, just do it for 1 minute exercise, because I don't want you to strain your eyes. Just for 1 minute, look away from the screen, gently rub your eyes, drink some water, refresh your mind, and we will start the last part of the class, that is gametogenesis. Do that now, all of you. Do that. It is very important to take care of yourself when you're learning. Okay? And meanwhile, in 1 minute, I will just go fill my water bottle and come. I'll just fill my glass and come. Okay? In 1 minute. And then we will start with gametogenesis. Recharge yourself, recharge yourself. Done? Tell me yes or no in the chat. Can we start with the last part of the class now? Students, and students, tell me in the chat how many of you attended my yesterday's class, mitosis. That was one of the most beautiful class I've ever taken, mitosis. And I saw the comments. I'm really happy with the comments, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the comments and everything. See, when we teach here for such a long time, standing here, drinking a little bit of water and everything, the only thing which we ask in written is, first thing is your dedication. The only thing which we ask here is you be consistent. That will make us more happy than anything else. And all of you are with me here, studying from past 1.5 hours religiously. Yes, religiously. Studying with me, right? And it makes me happy. It makes me happy. So, and also, it is also very important that all of you let us know in the comment section that how do you feel about the classes, right? It is very important. Let me tell you why. There are two main reasons. The first thing is that the many students are not aware of what we are doing here, and when before anyone sees a video, everyone will look for the comments, and obviously if the comments are good, then they will watch the lecture and then they will see the lecture. So I want everyone to comment in today's video, how do you feel about the lecture? You can be honest. Let me know in the comment section, and then they will follow. And also YouTube algorithm also works like that. If you comment on the video and like the video, YouTube will push it. YouTube will push it. Otherwise, whatever class we do here, it will never reach to a much more larger group of students, right? And that is our goal here. The main goal of YouTube is to make sure that whatever we teach here reaches to the many students as possible, because many students cannot afford to, pay and join batches and everything. So it is very important that you also support us in this journey where we are teaching for thousands of students and everyone gets benefit from it, right? It is very important to do that. Now students, can we start with the spermatogenesis? All of you open your books now. All of you open your books. Quickly in the chat, all of you open your books. I'm going to write everything for you. So I want every one of you to write down spermatogenesis, and after that you will never have any doubt in your life. You will never have any doubt in your life regarding spermatogenesis or oogenesis. Okay. So let's start with a simple. Everything's going to start with very simple. It's very simple biology. Okay. Spermatogenesis. Let's have the title. Spermatogenesis. Okay, spermatogenesis. Students, in the case of males, spermatogenesis starts at the puberty. So during puberty, what happens is, during puberty, there is something called as spermatogonia. The spermatogonia, also called as the male germ cell. This male germ cell undergoes mitosis. This male germ cell undergoes mitosis and it produces, this is the male germ cell which is diploid in nature. The male germ cell undergoes mitosis and produce many of them. Okay, many are there. Everything is 2n. Now one such spermatogonia grows in size. It grows in size, and we call it primary spermatocyte. Okay. Now this primary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 1. That is very important to write. Meiosis 1. Now tell me, every single time there's a meiosis, will there be change in ploidy? This primary spermatocyte, which is diploid in nature, will there be a change in ploidy? Yes, there will be change in ploidy. We'll end up getting two cells. Both are haploid. That is, this is going to be 22 plus X, This is going to be 22 plus y. 22 plus y. Okay, 22 plus y. 22 plus x, 22 plus y. And we call this secondary spermatocyte. This is the secondary spermatocyte. Now this secondary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis II. Oh, one second. Can I write here, students? Can I write here? Can I write here? Can we continue this part here now? Undergoes meiosis II. Obviously, meiosis has two parts, right? Meiosis I and meiosis II. It undergoes meiosis II. When this particular secondary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis II, it produces 4 haploid gametes. (22 plus x). This is 22 plus y. These haploid gametes right here, are called as spermatids. They're called as spermatids. Now, these spermatids right here, students, these spermatids right here, do they look like sperms? Spermatids right here, do they look like the motetale there? This motetale, do they look like spermatids? No, they don't look like sperms. So they have to undergo a separate process. They have to undergo a separate process now, called as spermiogenesis. Called as spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis. When spermatids undergo spermogenesis, they end up producing sperms. They get converted to sperms. Okay, 4 sperms are produced. Right, done. Now these sperms, are they liberated as such? No. The head of the sperm gets embedded in the Sertoli cell. The head of the sperm gets embedded in the Sertoli cell. Head embedded in Sertoli cell. Head in Sertoli cell. Now, from the Sertoli cells, when the sperms are released, the release of sperm from Sertoli cells. Release of sperm from Sertoli cells. The release of sperm from the Sertoli cell is called as what? It is called as spermiation. Called as spermiation. So let me recap it for you. It's going to be very easy to understand. Let me recap the entire thing for you now. First, we have the spermatogonia, also called as male germ cell, which undergoes mitosis and produces lots of them. Grows, and one such spermatogonia which grows is called as your primary spermatocyte. We have the primary spermatocyte. Okay. Now this primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis I to produce the secondary spermatocyte. Okay. We have the secondary spermatocyte now. Now this secondary spermatocyte, which is also haploid now, undergoes meiosis II. Once it undergoes meiosis II, it produces 4 haploid gametes. These haploid gametes are called as spermatids. They're called as spermatids. Okay, called as spermatids. Now, these spermatids undergo a process called as spermiogenesis. In the process of spermiogenesis, spermatids are converted to spermatozoa. This right here is spermatozoa. The spermatozoa is also called as what? also called as sperm. Also called as sperm. This is spermatozoa, sperm, right here. Now, the sperms are not released as such. They are not released as such. The sperm's head, the head of the sperm gets embedded inside the Sertoli cell. Now, release of the sperm from the Sertoli cell is called as what? Spermiation. The end of it. Spermiation. Spermiation. And that is the end of. That is the end of spermatogenesis. That's all. Tell me, is it difficult or easy now? Tell me. Any confusion here? With the help of flow chart, you are able to understand it in such an easy manner, students, such an easy manner. That's all, done. You understand? Done. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Did all of you write down? Did all of you write down also? Tell me, did all of you write down also? It is important to make this notes. If you read, just read it from outside. Just read it from outside, you will not understand. You will not understand from outside. I want you to write it down. Write it down and then understand every single point there. Understood, all of you? See this. This is spermatogenesis. Done. Done and dusted. Let's read the lines of NCERT. Read the lines of NCERT now. The primary sex organ. See, I have told you always. The primary sex organ from the starting. The primary sex organ. The testis in the males and the ovaries in the female produces the gametes. The sperm and the ovum respectively by the process called as gametogenesis. In testis, the immature male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, produces sperm by spermatogenesis. The beginning at puberty, I told you. When does the male spermatogenesis start? It starts at puberty. The spermatogenesis, a spermatogonium present on the inside wall of seminiferous tubule multiplies by mitosis. Multiplies by mitosis. Starting mitosis. Starting is mitosis. Division and increase the number. Each spermatogonia is diploid and contains 46 chromosomes. So each spermatogonia is diploid and it contains 46 chromosomes. 46 chromosomes. Okay. Some of the spermatogonia called as primary spermatocyte periodically undergoes meiosis. So primary spermatocyte, students, primary spermatocyte is undergoing meiosis. Undergoing meiosis. A primary spermatocyte completes the first meiotic division, reduction division, leading to the formation of two equal haploid cells called as secondary spermatocyte. Finishes the first meiotic division, two equal haploid secondary spermatocyte. Secondary spermatocyte. Line to line, which have only 23 chromosomes. 22 plus X or 22 plus Y. 23 chromosomes. Okay. The 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocyte undergoes the second meiotic division to produce the 4 equal haploid spermatids. Undergoes meiosis 2 to produce 4 equal spermatids. Easy, such easy concept. Okay. The spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa by the process of spermiogenesis. The spermatids are transferred into spermatozoa by the process of spermiogenesis. Done. After spermiogenesis, the sperm head becomes embedded in the Sertoli cells and the final release from the seminiferous tubule by the process of spermiation. It should be, one second, seminiferous tubule. From the seminiferous tubule is called as spermiation. It's called as spermiation. Every single line of NCERT in 2 lines of pages of your NCERT in one complete diagram. Done. See here, you have spermatogonia, Sertoli cells, head is getting embedded here, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatid, spermatozoa. Now can I ask you all of you a question? Tell me the ploidy of secondary spermatocyte. What is the ploidy? What is the end condition of your secondary spermatocyte? Secondary spermatocyte. Ploidy of secondary spermatocyte. Haploid or diploid? Haploid or diploid? Is it going to be haploid or is it going to be diploid? Obviously, your secondary spermatocyte is a result of meiosis 1. So it is going to be haploid in nature. It's going to be haploid in nature. Haploid in nature. Clear? It's going to be haploid in nature. Now what about primary spermatocyte? Primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte. Is it haploid or diploid? Now tell me. Primary spermatocyte. Is it haploid or diploid? Primary spermatocyte. Is it haploid or diploid? Quickly in the chat. We have already done this, students. We have already done this. Spermatogenesis starts at the age of puberty due to the increased levels of GnRH. Did we do this in the starting? I told you. We made a flow chart. GnRH, LH, FSH hormone. This, if you recall, the hypothalamic hormone that increases the act of GnRH, which acts on anterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of two glands, gonadotropins. Luteinizing hormone LH, L acts on Leydig cells, and follicle stimulating hormone S acts on Sertoli cells. The LH acts on Leydig cells and stimulates the androgen, synthesis of your secretion of androgen. Androgen in turn stimulates the process of spermatogenesis. FSH acts on Sertoli cells and stimulates the secretion of some factors. What is this factor, students? What is this factor? The factor here is nothing but your ABP, androgen binding protein, which helps in the process of spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis, not spermatogenesis, spermiogenesis. Any doubt here? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? This slide here, or this slide here, or this slide here? Any doubts? This is the male, this is the sperm. Sperm has the entire sperm is covered by the plasma membrane. Entire sperm is covered by the plasma membrane. We have a cap-like structure called as acrosome, which has a lot of enzymes. Then in the middle there is a nucleus containing chromosomal material, neck region. Then we have middle piece, mitochondria present in the middle piece, tail for the motility. That is flagellate movement. Okay, middle piece, tail, membrane envelope the whole body. Sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus. Very important. This is haploid nucleus. Obviously, sperm is the result of spermiosis or haploid nucleus. Cap is called as acrosome, which has a lot of enzymes. The middle piece has mitochondria, which produces energy for movement of the tail that facilitates the sperm motility, essential for the fertilization. Now, here again very important. The human male ejaculates around 200 to 300 million sperms during coitus, of which for normal fertility at least 60% sperm must have normal shape and normal size. If I ask you a question, if there are 100,000 sperm, out of this 1,000 sperm, how many of them should have normal motility? Tell me in the chat. That is 60% of the sperm should have normal shape and size. Tell me, out of this 1,000 sperm, how many of them should have normal shape and size? Normal shape and size. You will tell, sir, 60% of your 1,000 sperm is 600. Should have normal shape and size. Now, I'm going to say this. And at least 40% of them must show vigorous motility. That is, out of the 600, 40% should show vigorous motility. Tell me what is the number for that also. Tell me the number for 40% also. Tell me the number for 40% now. Tell me the number for 40%. 60% should have normal shape and size. 40% of that 60% should have motility. Tell me. If you're telling 400, you're wrong. 400 is wrong. 400 is going to be wrong. Tell me. Think, all of you, think. Students, 40% of 600, that is around 240 sperms. 240 sperms should be proper. That is, only if motility is there, what is the use if there is no proper shape? So out of 1000 sperms, 240 sperm should be completely proper. That is, 60% of them should have normal shape and size. And out of the 60%, 40% should have vigorous motility. Understood? Understood, all of you? Students, if you're new to the session right now, quickly smash that like button, all of you. Okay. The sperm releases the seminiferous tubule are transported via accessory ducts of the epididymis. Secretion of epididymis, vas afferentia, seminal vesicle and prostate are essential for maturation and motility of the sperm. The seminal plasma along with sperm includes semen. I told you already. Seminal plasma plus sperm, which will make up the semen. The functions of the accessory ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormone called as androgen. So androgen maintains the entire work. Clear? Now students, that is the end. Now students, can we start the last part of today's class? Before we go to a lot of PYQs. We have a lot of PYQs coming up. 15 minutes we'll go for PYQs only. Beautiful PYQs are there. But before we go to the last part of PYQ, any doubt till now, tell me in the chat. And also, last part, that is Oogenesis now. Can we start Oogenesis? Now? Oogenesis now. Yes, can we start? Oogenesis. Students, are you able to understand everything till now? Tell me. Yes or no in the chat quickly. Yes? Now. Again, similarly students, how we made a plan for your entire spermatogenesis, can we draw a table for oogenesis? I want everyone to open your books right now. Write down with me when they're live. If you're watching it recorded, smash that like button and also write it with us. Write with me. Okay, write with me, all of you. Oogenesis. So unlike, tell me in the chat quickly, when does the spermatogenesis start? Spermatogenesis starts at the puberty. All of you know that. But oogenesis, students, oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage. It starts at the embryonic stage. Oogenesis starts. So first we have the oogonia. Which is diploid in shape, diploid in nature. It undergoes mitosis. It undergoes initially mitosis. When it undergoes mitosis, it produces more of oogonia. Diploid in nature, more oogonia. Yes, more oogonia. Now, one such oogonia undergoes differentiation, or I can also call it growth, and results in the formation of a diploid primary oocyte. Now students, this primary oocyte undergoes meiosis 1. It undergoes meiosis 1. It starts to undergo meiosis 1. But does it finish meiosis 1, students? That is the main question. Does the meiosis 1 gets over? No. The meiosis 1 does not get over. In fact, it gets suspended. At prophase 1 at diplotin stage. It gets suspended at prophase 1 at diplotin stage. Arrested. Now students, whatever we learned right now, whatever we learned, this entire thing till here is at embryonic stage. All of this is happening at embryonic stage, all of this. Okay. Now, after this meiosis 1, which is suspended at your prophase for diploiding stage, it is stopped. It stopped there until now we have embryonic stage, then we have birth of the child, then the child grows, the female child grows, childhood. Now, once the female child reaches puberty, that's when the meiosis 1 is completed. Yes, meiosis 1 is completed, giving rise to two different cells. Meiosis 1 is completed, giving rise to two different cells. That is called as your secondary oocyte, and the small, very tiny first polar body. First polar body. So after meiosis 1 is not completed until puberty. Meiosis 1 is not completed. Once puberty starts, meiosis 1 is completed, which give rise to secondary oocyte and first polar body. Done. Till here, any doubt, quickly ask me. Now students, this secondary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 2. Starts to undergo meiosis 2. But does it finish meiosis 2? No. Again, this secondary oocyte gets let me write it for you, otherwise you'll get confused. Secondary oocyte. Okay, it's there. This secondary oocyte gets arrested at, or gets suspended at metaphase. Metaphase 2. Arrested at metaphase 2. That is, the secondary oocyte is going to remain as such. Until the one small contact will happen. What is that small contact? Friends? This meiosis 2 will get over. Only when the sperm gets in contact with the egg. This is the secondary oocyte. When the secondary oocyte comes in contact with the sperm. Secondary oocyte, it comes in contact with the sperm. As soon as the sperm comes in contact with the secondary oocyte, meiosis 2 is completed. Meiosis 2 is completed only when the sperm comes in contact with the egg. And that will end up giving two more structures. That is called as ovum or ooted, and the tiny second polar body. That is the end of it. This looks very bad. Let me summarize it for you now. Let me summarize the entire thing for you. First, the oogenesis starts at Oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage, where we have millions of oogonia. Millions of oogonia. One such oogonia starts to differentiate, which produces your primary oocyte. Now this primary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 1, but it does not finish, but it gets suspended at prophase 1 diploidine stage. Now once the female child is born, the female child reaches puberty. Once the female child reaches puberty, the meiosis 1 is completed, which give rise to the secondary oocyte and first polar body. It's going to be haploid. Haploid. This is diploid. Diploid. Okay. A secondary oocyte in first polar body. Now this secondary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 2, but again it gets suspended at metaphase 2 until event. Now this is the same secondary oocyte which is released as at ovulation. Ovulation is happening here. Ovulation is happening here. Ovulation is happening here. Remember, secondary oocyte is released in the menstrual cycle, not the ovum or oocyte. Technically, even under the ovulation, meiosis secondary oocyte is released. Now this secondary oocyte finishes the meiosis 2. This secondary oocyte finishes the meiosis 2 when it comes in contact with the sperm. Once the secondary oocyte comes in contact with the sperm, it will result in ovum or oocyte and the second polar body. So technically, the second polar body is produced. Second polar body is produced where? In the oviduct, right? Because fertilization is happening where? Fertilization is happening in the ampulla region. So second polar body is produced in the oviduct, and the first polar body is produced inside the ovary. Produced inside the ovary. Done. Students, did all of you write down and understand every single step till here? Because this is just part 1. Oogenesis, this is the end of oogenesis. But at the same time as the oogenesis is taking place, there is one more parallel event which is happening simultaneously called as follicular genesis. Follicular genesis, that we'll understand now. Follicular genesis. In the female there are primary follicles, secondary follicle, tertiary follicles, and lastly Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. Now what is primary follicle? What is each one of them? Let me teach you. What is primary follicle, students? What is primary follicle? Primary follicle is nothing but primary oocyte plus granulosa cells. That is a single layer of them. A single layer of granulosa cells. Single layer. Now what is secondary follicle? Secondary follicle is nothing but again primary oocyte plus more layers of granulosa cells. Now what is tertiary follicle? Tertiary follicle is a follicle inside which the primary oocyte gets converted to secondary oocyte plus gets converted to secondary oocyte, and at the same time there is a fluid filled cavity here. The fluid filled cavity is called as antrum. It is called as antrum. Now one more point which should be noted here is under your tertiary follicle is that during the tertiary follicle there is separation of theca. Separation of theca. What is theca? Theca is like a layer. Separation of theca. That is theca externa and theca interna. Theca externa and interna. Theca externa and theca interna. Theca formation happens here. Theca formation is happening here. theca formation. Theca formation. Now, what is Graafian follicle? Graafian follicle is the most mature follicle. It is the most mature follicle which ruptures open, and it releases the egg during ovulation. During ovulation. It is not exactly the egg, it is secondary oocyte. It is supposed to be secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. It is supposed to be secondary oocyte. Students, are you able to understand how it is? Are you able to understand how this is going to be the entire follicles? This is called as follicular genesis, which is happening simultaneously. It is happening simultaneously along with your oogenesis. Now, last point which I have to add here, the only point we have to add here is that your primary follicle and secondary follicle are present at the embryonic stage. Why is it the embryonic stage? Because primary oocyte, secondary oocyte. Primary oocyte and secondary oocyte are present where? Primary oocyte and secondary oocyte are present at embryonic stage. Primary oocyte. Only primary oocyte is at embryonic stage. So, your primary follicle and secondary follicle both are present at embryonic stage. But what about tertiary follicle? Since tertiary follicle has secondary oocyte, that is coming where? It's coming at puberty. Secondary oocyte at puberty. At puberty. At puberty. Students, this graph right here, so not this table, this important lines which I have written here, the most important lines which I have written here, this is the foundation. This is the foundation for so many questions, and I will show you proof now. I will show you proof for it. Okay, is there any doubt here? Quickly shoot. Any doubt here? And students, if you are new to the channel, quickly like this session and subscribe to the channel. Okay, don't forget to like the session, it's very important. Okay, now let's read the NCERT lines, what they say, and understand. Let's read the NCERT lines. Let's read the NCERT lines. The process of formation of mature female gamete is called as oogenesis, which is marked by the different from the spermatogenesis. Oogenesis is initiated at the embryonic developmental stage when a couple of millions of gametes called as oogonia are formed within each fetal ovary. No more oogonia. See, once oogonia is added, once enough of oogonia is added at a fetal stage, no more oogonia will be added thereafter. Once it is added, the amount of oogonia is present at before the birth, it is going to remain throughout your life. Females, the amount of oogonia which is present at the fetal stage, the same number of oogonia will be present throughout the lifetime. As in, like, it will keep on decreasing, but it will not increase. It will not increase. Okay, it will keep on decreasing. Now, these cells starts dividing, starts division and enter into prophase 1 of the mitodivision and gets temporarily arrested at this stage. Prophase 1, diploiding stage, primary oocyte. Each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells, and we call it primary follicle. Follicular genesis, simultaneously it is happening. Simultaneously it is happening, right? Simultaneously happening. Primary follicle. Okay. The large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty. At puberty, there are only 60 to 80,000 of primary follicles. That is before the birth. Before birth. Before puberty, primary oocyte only 60,000 to 80k, 60k to 80k is left. Primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles get surrounded by more layer of granulosa cells, and a new theca is called as secondary follicle. Here, we learned here, right? secondary follicle. Primary oocyte, more layer of granular cells, new theca formation, secondary follicle. That we call that secondary follicle. And it is the same primary follicle which is present into 60K to 80K. This is the one actually, 60 to 80K present before the puberty. Okay. Secondary follicle. Now, the secondary follicle soon transform into tertiary follicle, which characterized by a fluid-filled cavity called as antrum. We wrote that the theca layer is organized into theca interna and theca externa. It is important to draw your notation. Let me write. It is important to draw your notation, draw your attention that this stage, that the primary oocyte, where in the tertiary follicle, primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Where in the tertiary follicle, primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Stage the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle. So tertiary follicle will have primary oocyte initially. Tertiary follicle will have primary oocyte initially. Tertiary follicle grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. It is an unequal division resulting in the formation of a large secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. That all that I tell you is primary oocyte is finishing its first meiosis. Primary oocyte is finishing the first meiosis in tertiary follicle, resulting in secondary oocyte. See here, the first meiosis here, this is what they're talking. Primary oocyte is finishing the first meiosis where? Inside the tertiary follicle. Now, once first meiosis is over, which will result in secondary oocyte and first polar body. Understand. Beautiful lines of NCERT drawn with the help of diagram. Okay. Now, the secondary oocyte retains the bulk of the nutrient cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. Okay. Now, at present we are not very certain about what is the main use of polar body. They'll never ask you. The tertiary follicle further changes into mature Graafian follicle. Okay, Graafian follicle. The secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called as zona pellucida layer. Okay, the secondary oocyte. Here, let me write for you, otherwise you'll forget it off. The secondary oocyte inside the Graafian follicle. The secondary oocyte. Inside the Graafian follicle. Inside the Graafian follicle is making a new layer called as zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. That is, secondary oocyte has the zona pellucida layer. Remember that. So this is secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte will have a layer, zona pellucida layer on top of it. Okay. Done. The Graafian follicle now ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte. See, secondary oocyte is being released. Always remember. Ovum from the ovary by the process called as ovulation, and that is the end of oogenesis. This is the structure. Can you see diagram view of ovary? Of the ovary. Blood vessels, primary follicle, growing into tertiary follicle. Eventually we have tertiary follicle. Primary follicle is present where? Primary follicle is embryonic stage. Tertiary follicle puberty, and Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle is rupturing, produces the egg. Leftover part is converted to corpus luteum. The leftover ruptured part, this ruptured part is converted to corpus luteum, which will later take important role is there in the maintaining of the pregnancy. That is progesterone. It produces progesterone. Later we will study that in menstrual cycle. Not today. Okay, that's all. This you can see comparative analysis. Start with the question now. Let's start with the questions now. Let's start with the questions one by one, and we'll finish the class today. You have a homework question, and students, I saw. Sir, after that new form are membranes called as zona pellucida. See, they are not Zona pellucida is just a member, is just a membrane. Zona pellucida is just a membrane here. The secondary oocyte will get a membrane, that's all. The secondary oocyte, not, see, Graafian follicle never gets a membrane. Graafian follicle is the outside. Inside the Graafian follicle, there is something called as secondary oocyte. The same secondary oocyte. That secondary oocyte will get a separate layer called as zona pellucida layer. We get a separate layer called as zona pellucida layer. Students, I know this might be overwhelming. You would have must highlighted this entire thing. It might be overwhelming, but students, watch the lecture once, twice, you will understand very well. Now, see, look at the question now. Look at the question. The primary, the primary oocyte results in. What will happen to primary oocyte now? What will happen to the division of primary oocyte? Unequal cells, a smaller haploid secondary oocyte and a large diploid polar body? No. An unequal cell, a large haploid secondary oocyte and a small haploid polar body? Yes. Unequal cell, small diploid? No. No diploid. After meiosis there is no diploid. Unequal, a haploid secondary oocyte and a haploid polar body. Is it equal cells? No. Unequal cells, right? It is unequal cells. Unequal cells. We learned, right? I'll show you every single time we see a question, I'll show you, go back and show you. See here. After primary oocyte, two unequal cells, a haploid oocyte and a haploid polar body, small polar body. Done. Next question. How do ovulated oocytes get into uterus? How they will get into uterus? We have oocytes now. Oocyte is produced where? All of these oocytes are produced inside the ovary. All of them are produced inside the ovary. All the oocytes and follicles, they are produced inside the ovary here. From here, how will they move? How will they move and end up here? That is the question. That is the question. Diagram is important for you to understand better the question also. Because the ovaries are within the uterus, the ovulated egg cell already within the uterus, the cilia within the oviduct duct creates a current that sweeps the egg towards the uterus. The oocyte actively swims. They cannot swim. The fimbriae sweep over the oviduct. No. I told you there is something, a ciliated movement. Did I tell you? A ciliated movement? Yes. 2 is the answer. A ciliated movement. Ciliated movement. Next question. The primary oocyte completes its first meiotic division within. I told you this focus. I told you. Primary oocyte will finish the first meiotic division within which follicle? Primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle. It's going to be your. It is going to be your. Which one? Primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Primary oocyte will be present in primary follicle, and also secondary follicle. But as soon as we come to tertiary follicle, it gets converted to secondary oocyte. Students, are you able to understand the quality of questions you get? Secondary, tertiary follicle, right? Tertiary follicle. Let me show you. Confirmation is very important. Whatever you have learned has come in your examination. I told you repeatedly. Primary oocyte becomes secondary oocyte inside your tertiary follicle. Inside the tertiary follicle. Everything is given here. It is the matter of revision. It is the matter of solving enough of questions. Next question. Oogenesis starts at. It's a very easy question. Oogenesis starts at. Students, these are quality questions. They are not random questions. Quality questions. Oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage. This is an easy question. Next question. Arrested stage called primary oocyte is formed. arrested stage called as primary oocyte is formed. When do you find primary oocyte, arrested stage? Primary oocyte gets arrested at which stage? Is it at menarche? No. At puberty? No. Before the puberty, you know, it is getting arrested? No. At the time of birth? No. The arrested stage, you know, the arrested stage you have, it is before, even before the childbirth, that is during fetal growth, starting. See here, during the fetal growth, before the development. I'll show you. Students, all of these questions are very difficult questions. Understand. Primary oocyte is formed where? Primary oocyte is formed primary oocyte is suspended. Primary oocyte is suspended even before the birth, right? It's getting suspended even before the birth. It is getting arrested at embryonic stage. Embryonic stage is getting arrested. After birth, different story. Before the birth only it's getting stopped. Then only birth, then only child, then only puberty, right? Then only puberty. Did all of you understand? Did all of you understand the question? Arrested stage called as primary oocyte is formed during fetal growth. That is before the growth only, not during childbirth. Did all of you understand? Are you able to solve the questions now? Are you able to solve the questions? Understand? Now, fluid-filled cavity is a characteristic feature of which one? Very easy question. Tertiary follicle. This is a direct question. No, this is a direct question. Now, what is released at ovulation? At ovulation, what is released? Primary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1, primary oocyte arrested at meiosis 2, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 2. The time starts now. Go. Go. Students, you will have to, only when you know the concept which I told you today, only when you know the concept which I taught you today, you will be able to solve such questions. You will be able to solve such questions only because of the concept which you learned today. Okay? No. You might be getting confused again. Let me show you the thing. You have to revise all the time. You have to keep on revising. What is released during ovulation? You might go wrong here. But once you just revisit the graph, you'll know. Tell me, what is released during ovulation? During ovulation. At puberty, during ovulation, secondary oocyte. Right? This is released at ovulation. Tell me, is it released at ovulation? No. Not after meiosis 1. This is not released at ovulation. This secondary oocyte will undergo meiosis 2. Undergoes meiosis 2. Then ovulation is happening. And that secondary oocyte is released. Not after meiosis 1. After meiosis 2, that secondary oocyte is being released. Understanding? Are you understanding now? Are you understanding the question? Students, Pavitra, Manoj, Monisha, Madhumiti, Dhanu, Meghana, Hero, Ravindrani, are you understanding now? The secondary oocyte is released, I told you. Secondary oocyte is released. But is it right after meiosis 1? No. This secondary oocyte is undergoing meiosis 2. Then it is getting arrested. That after meiosis 2, the secondary oocyte is arrested. That is being released now. That is being released. See this. Look at the question. First of all, it's not primary oocyte, gone. Now, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1. No, meiosis 1 is over. It is at meiosis 2. Arrested at meiosis 2. That arrested stage, it is being released later on, and ovulation is happening. And this secondary oocyte, when it meets with the sperm, second meiosis is over. Once second meiosis is over, then we have the ooted and second polar body. Did all of you understand this question, or tell me yes or no in the chat if you want me to explain this? Did all of you understand? That is more important. Concept is more important. You know the concept now. You know the answer. You have the notes. It's only a matter of application of it and you will get the answer. Application is the only missing. Application is the only missing right now. Look at this question now. Look at this question. Students, how are the questions? Tell me in the chat now. Good questions, right? Quality questions. Quality questions. Now, secondary oocyte is formed at puberty, at the time of birth, after fertilization, during embryonic growth. During embryonic growth. Again, a very good question. Very good question. Secondary oocyte is formed. When is it formed? When it is formed? When do you get secondary oocyte? When is it forming? Formation of secondary oocyte. Go back to the friends. When you such get questions, don't worry. Notes are with you. You don't have to worry even a single time also. You don't have to worry. Secondary oocyte is formed where? Secondary oocyte is formed during puberty. Before puberty, primary oocyte. During your fertilization, what is forming during fertilization? Ovum is forming. So secondary oocyte is formed at the puberty. Done? So one is the answer. One is the answer. Now, oocyte is formed along with. Oocyte is formed along with. How do you find formation of oocyte? Along with the ovum, second polar body, secondary oocyte, and primary oocyte. Second polar body, right? At the end, after the fertilization. Sir, why does the fertilization of ovum but not zygote? Rajendra, zygote does not undergo fertilization. Zygote is a result of fertilization. Understand that. See, oh, you are getting confused, right? Let me tell you. Let me clear the confusion. Here, fertilization is not happening. Let me tell you. Here, fertilization is not happening. The sperm is coming in contact with the secondary oocyte. That's all. As soon as the sperm comes in contact, just contact, no fertilization, just comes in contact with the secondary oocyte, then we get ovum. Now this ovum will later fuse. It's inside, right? This ovum is produced inside the secondary oocyte. It is produced inside the secondary oocyte, right? Inside the secondary oocyte. Oh, oops, I erased it. It is produced inside the secondary oocyte. Now, the nuclei of the gamete which present inside the sperm, there is nuclei. That nuclei will come. That nuclei and the nuclei of the oocyte will fuse. Then there will be zygote formation. This is just coming in contact. Here. Clear, all of you? Do not have that confusion. If you have any confusion, ask me. Good question. Nice. There is no fertilization here. Just it's coming in contact here. Okay. With the second polar body, students. With that, half of the chapter is over. 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Solving PYQs, getting the concept cleared, reading NCERT. 3 things are covered. Concept you are done, you know all of you know the concept. Now. All of you did solve the questions, you solve the questions. All of you read the NCERT with me, you read the NCERT with me, students. NCERT with me. So before I go, I'll give you a homework question. This is the homework question. The homework question is missing, huh? Homework question is missing. Oops. Homework question is missing. Okay. I'll give you homework question as such. I'll give you orally homework question. Homework question I'll give you orally. Okay. In the homework question, I want you to completely write the order. Homework question is, I want you to write the order of the sperm transfer. Like, what is the first one? How the sperm is being transferred through various ducts. How is the sperm being transferred through various ducts? That I want homework question. I think it's there somewhere. I think I wrote a homework question. No, I didn't write, huh? Ah, here it is there. Homework question. This is the homework question. Homework question. Right here. Homework question right here. This is the homework question. A, B, C, D. I want to read the homework question. This is the question from your NEET 2024. I'm giving you a PYQ as a homework question. PYQ as a homework question. Okay. Where do you have to do? In the comments. In the comments. All of you. If you're watching it recorded also, you should do it. Everyone. Jai Meghna Danu. Right? Jai Meghna Danu, Ravindrani, Madhumata, Jai. I will ask you everything. I will ask you all the time. Second last question, no? Second last question. Let me see. This is the last question. This question, right? This question. Secondary oocyte is produced, is formed. Secondary oocyte, when is it formed? Tell me. Secondary oocyte, when it is formed. That's the simple question. Simple question. Right? Simple question. See here, if you go back here. See here. Primary oocyte is formed when? Primary oocyte is formed at the embryonic stage. Now, this primary oocyte starts meiosis 1, gets arrested at diploiding stage. But as soon as the female child reaches puberty, at the puberty, secondary oocyte is formed. Now what is the question? The question is, when is the secondary oocyte formed? So secondary oocyte is formed when the female child reaches the puberty. That's it. Clear? All of you understand? At the puberty. Simple question. See students, questions are difficult. I know questions might be confusing, but if you know this table, your NCERT does not give you such clear table. If you look at the NCERT, it will never give you such clear table writing one point where it goes. So I have given you that, students, today. I have given you that. Hopefully, let me know in the chat, students. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, not chat right now, in the comments, how was zoology from a botanist? How was zoology from a botanist perspective? Okay, let me know in the chat that one. Not in the chat, in the comment section. Before I go, I have to show you something. First of all, quickly smash that like button. First of all, quickly smash that like button, all of you. Okay. Now, some of you are asking me, sir, can we get more questions? Can we get more questions to solve? Students, right here. If you click on this all-in-one solution of NEET PDF, if you click on this solution, okay, you have to log in. Obviously, you have to log in. Once you log in, you will get unlimited questions. NEET PYQs of every single year, students. NEET PYQs every single year is right here. If you just log in here, you'll get the NEET PYQs of every single year if you want to solve more questions, right? So that is the end of today's class. That is the end of today's class, right? That is the end of today's class. Thank you so much, students, for attending today's class. It has been really great teaching zoology after such a long time. After such a long time teaching zoology, it has been really fun for me also. It is fun. Time to time, change is fun. No, change is fun. Right? So let me know in the comment section how was today's session. If it was fun, tell me, right, fun. So it was so informative, my doubts are cleared. Tell me, sir, doubts are cleared. And subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, I'll take off right now. Do not forget to do the homework question. Do not forget to do the homework question. And bye-bye. Take care, all of you. Bye-bye.